All right, Shalom. Shalom, giving our praises, glory, and honors to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000, rest of the hopeful elect. Excuse me. It's your brother, the priest, Zion from GMS Atlanta. Back with another edifying video. And as you see here, I have an article from Newsweek. Map shows states where ICE protests are taking place. And we're seeing an uptick and an uprise in protests in the U.S., right, in Babylon the Great, in the United States. And, you know, this isn't the first time. Within the last 15 years, we've seen Occupy Wall Street, the Occupy Wall Street protests. The Occupy Wall Street protests. We've seen the protest, the rise of Black Lives Matter and those marches and protests. We've seen the what is that? The MAGA protests. You had the situation in January 6th, 2021, where they stormed the Capitol. A number of different protests. Oh, excuse me, the protest with the campus protests, the college campus protests, for the war in Gaza, right, with Israel. And now we're seeing these protests with ICE and Trump with the deportation order. I was just trying to think of the different number of things that have popped up over the years, man. It's showing you that we are definitely in a time that this country is going to implode. You know, between the Vietnam no war hippie protests in the 60s and the Watts riots to what maybe the 90s with the LA riots, Rodney King riots, to and those were like riots, protests. You know, you had the Civil War era. The Civil Rights era. But they were like far in between, you know, decades. Now, it's like every other year, there's another riot and protest erupting. Even around the world, right? You had the Arab Spring, the Yellow Vest protests in France and China. You know, you got the farmer protests out there in Europe. So there's a number of things happening around the world or different countries are having these events take place. So let me stop rambling. Now, it says here, protests erupted across the country at the weekend with people raising their voices against the Trump administration's mass deportation plans. Thousands of people marched against immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, and the second weekend since President Donald Trump took office, with the two largest demonstrations occurring in states that share a border with Mexico. Now, this here is just showing the map of the different states, and if you know your American geography, U.S. geography, then you know you have California here, you got Texas, Missouri, Georgia, North Carolina. This one here is Arizona and Arkansas. And these are, really, you can say, southern and western states are ready to, protest their cause. Okay? Now, it says here why it matters. Trump made immigration a central theme of his successful presidential campaign, and Americans largely support his mass deportation plans. And you have your Trump supporters, the MAGA supporters, whether they're racist or not. It's still a situation where you're going to have these Americans against each other. Now, I want to get a scripture in Isaiah, the 19th chapter. I'll start at verse 2. It says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians." These Egyptians and this Egypt that it's talking about here is speaking about the spiritual Egypt, Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America. So you're going to have the Americans against the Americans. All right? Whether they be Republican, Democrat, whether it be racial issues, or whether it be class issues, middle class versus lower class, or the rich versus the lower classes. There's that spirit of civil war is back in this country. It says, "And they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor." So you're going to have Americans against Americans, right? That movie that came out recently, what was it, last year, Civil War, that showed a major part of that dynamic. Okay, who do you side with? Whose philosophy do you stand with? And that's a constant bickering back and forth amongst people on the internet, social media, men versus women, black versus white, Republican versus Democrat, politics versus entertainment, and that's all part of the confusion of Babylon, right? It says city against city and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. See, we're watching the failure and the falling apart of American society. All right? This place is and it's based off of this prophecy here. Okay? This proves that the prophecies written in the Bible are true. The spirit of Egypt is failing. It says, "And I will destroy the counsel thereof." So whatever plans, whatever things that they're trying to do, you have one senator and one congressman trying to block this, and then you go to the Supreme Court and you see this case and they rule against that, and the president has this order, but then you have these governors, they say no. The council's failing. "And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards," right? So they try to do their witchcraft behind the scenes, because we know what really rules America, all right? But it's going to fail, even with that. Even with them having their warlocks and witches in place, this place is still going to fail. That's what Yahweh Bashmi Shai is saying here. "And the Egyptians, the Americans, will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord." Right? So now this is a cruel leader. And, like the Apostle R is saying, that this is Trump. And we can see it. We can see the way that he's moving, him and Elon Musk and that Doge department that they just established, going around the different agencies, government agencies, and breaking them down, and then putting these draconian measures in place. That's the hand of a cruel Lord. "And a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts." So this is what we're seeing. Now, here's another article, and this is pretty much the same thing with a little more wording, from February 3rd. All of this is from earlier this week. So it says, "Groups, both local and nationwide, protest Trump administration's anti-immigration effort. So this is it's just another reason for uproars of the people to take place. It says, across the nation, thousands gathered this past weekend to protest mass deportations and recent ICE enforcement actions. The demonstrations calling for immigration reform span from Georgia to California, which I showed you the map, with many participants waving Mexican and American flags and carrying banners. In Los Angeles, peaceful protesters crowded the city's downtown area and at times blocking the 101 freeway. Police described the gathering as a non-permitted demonstration. But yet they have a constitutional right to peaceful gathering, peaceful protesting. Okay, it's in the Constitution. So you're going to have the police against the people against the police, people against the rulers. So let me get some more scriptures because I'm going off with these scriptures. I mean, not that I'm going off, but I mean I'm quoting them off. But let me read this. 2nd Ezra chapter 9. I'm sorry, 2nd Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another, and these uproars and protests are the beginning of sedition against the government here. They should not regard their kings nor princes. So whatever we're seeing this in and around the world, but just speaking on here in Babylon, in U.S., we're seeing the people gather together against the rulings of their government, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, and then that's when they have to send in the troops. That's when they send in the military. That's when martial law is declared. And Trump said that he would send the military to different cities to get things in order. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Now here's a article here. If I could pull it up real quick. If I can get some wording. Now this is from the Vanity Fair. Okay, so I guess it I don't know what happened, but it wasn't. But basically, let me do this because it was an article basically. Let me see. Will Trump send in the military? Well, here's one. Will Trump send military to Mexico? I think that's already happened. Right. So you have more active duty as of 3 hours ago. More active duty troops will hit the U.S.-Mexico border. How much can 10,000 Mexican troops achieve at the border? Trump says he could send U.S. special operators after Mexican drug cartels. It could make things a lot worse. From 3 days ago, the war zone, how Trump could use military force against cartels in Mexico. But what I want to get here, will Trump send military for protesters? And I think this is a part of that Vanity Fair article, which I was just trying to show you. Okay, here we go. Vanity Fair. Nobody knows what's coming next. Will Donald Trump be able to use the military against immigrants and U.S. citizens? Right, from 3 days ago. Right? So there's definitely martial law talks in the works. There's definitely that I should say, the spirit of martial law is in the air if this thing spirals out of control at this time. Eventually, it is going to happen, And this is why we always speak about Jacob's trouble, man. You know, Jacob being, the Israelites, when you read the scriptures, the sons of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, which we say Jake for short, the so-called black Hispanics and Native Americans. We've been telling you for years here at GMS, right, through our teachers on the internet and on the street corners every week and daily, we've been telling you that this country is going to start coming against our people, man. Okay? They're going to send their troops. They're going to activate martial law, and they're going to act against the Israelites. And eventually, they're going to act against those speaking the truth and speaking these prophecies and come against the men of the Lord, the prophets, all right? Okay? But they're going to come against our people in general. You know, we warned you. All right? So we're at that, we are in that time now. Okay? Now, here in Atlanta, for the load up, here it says hundreds gather at state capitol steps to protest President Trump's policies. So there's 15. Luke the 21st chapter should come to mind. Second is the 9th chapter. I might get that. It says here, Atlanta, many gathered at the steps of the state capitol demanding actions be taken against President Donald Trump and his policies. News Chopper 2 was over the Capitol where protests were going on. Now, when is this? This was, a few days ago, February 5th, yeah. So Wednesday. It says it appeared to be part of the 50501 50 protests, 50 states. So 50-50 in one. 50 protests, 50 states, one-day movement being organized online against Trump and the early actions from his administration. And we know how these major protests get started, you know, and who's behind the scenes and fund those major protests like Occupy Wall Street. You know, to say this guy, G. Soros, was behind it. You know, order out of chaos is also going to play its part in changing the way America's set up because they want to bring in their agenda, right? Their NW0, if you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, it's all according to Scripture. It's all according to prophecy. Channel 2's Richard Elliott says there are over 100 protesters there. The protests began around noon and continued throughout Wednesday. Now check this out. It says protesters chose to be right outside of the offices of Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator Jon Ossoff. So they're taking it to the nobles, man. They're taking it to, as the scripture says, they shall not regard their king nor princes. Now, we're speaking this truth, which is, you know, the words of the prophets are going to the gates of the nobles. But the people, they're not going to regard the government officials as well, or their orders. It says, but those who they want to speak up are Republicans. So, you know, you're seeing the fall of this place. And it's been falling. You know, America's really been falling since the 70s, late 60s, 70s. This place has been going down. But we're seeing it fall even faster. You know, you got, what's that, CTD, which means circling the drain. Circling the drain, it's like when you're flushing a toilet or you pour water down a sink and the outside swirls are wider and slower, but then as it gets to the end, it's a lot more violent, you know? But, you know, it's coming to an end, man. It's coming to a time where this place is eventually going to fall. And it's going to fall violently via Revelation, the 18th chapter. So that's it. That's the point. You know, uproar of the people, protests. And you can read Second Ezra, the ninth chapter for that. Things are going to escalate here, especially with the cruel Lord Trump, aka the reincarnation of Nero, back in office and back in power. But anyway, with that, hope this is edifying. All praises goes to Yahweh Bashmi Al Shai, Bashon Kakwadash. Shalom.